after nearly 30 years of what appeared to be an ideal Hollywood love story. The marriage between Hugh Jackman and Deborah Furness unraveled in a storm of emotional turmoil, hidden betrayal, and complex financial consequences, leaving fans stunned and insiders whispering about secrets that had long simmered beneath their picture-perfect surface. Their relationship, which began in 1995 on the set of an Australian television series, was widely celebrated not just for its longevity, but for its deeply affectionate public persona. Hugh, an up-and-coming actor, and Deborah, already a respected name in Australian cinema and 13 years his senior, built a narrative of unwavering support, love, and mutual admiration that became iconic over the years. They adopted 2 children, frequently spoke about the strength of their marriage, and navigated the brutal world of Hollywood while projecting stability and warmth, making their separation all the more shocking. When the split was officially announced, it was the words Deborah used in her statement that sent shockwaves through fans and media alike. Phrases like betrayal, values and boundaries, freedom and liberation stirred speculation about what really tore apart the seemingly unshakable foundation of their relationship, though no concrete proof of infidelity emerged. Whispers of an emotional affair between Hugh Jackman and Broadway star Sutton Foster grew louder. They had worked closely together on the Broadway revival of The Music Man, where their chemistry on stage was impossible to miss, and behind the scenes they reportedly grew quite close. As rehearsals stretched on and professional demands increased, Deborah was said to have felt increasingly sidelined, watching her husband emotionally lean on a younger co-star in a way that left her feeling replaced and isolated. Emotional affairs, while difficult to define or prove, are no less devastating, and psychologists agree that such relationships built on deep, intimate connection rather than physical interaction can fracture marriages in ways that are irreversible. Deborah's use of emotionally loaded language hinted at just such a betrayal. Adding more complexity to this emotional rupture was the absence of a prenuptial agreement, a detail that shocked many given Jackman's astronomical net worth, estimated at over $180 million thanks to blockbuster roles like Wolverine, his Broadway stardom, brand endorsements, and business ventures. At the time of their marriage, neither expected Hugh's career to skyrocket as it did, and their decision to forego a prenup likely stemmed from a place of optimism and trust. But 3 decades later, that lack of legal protection has transformed their separation into a high-stakes battle over assets. Deborah, who put her own career on pause to raise their family and support Hugh's Hollywood ascent, reportedly feels entitled to a significant share of his earnings, not out of greed, but because she was, by all accounts, a co-architect of his success. She was there from the start when Hugh was still a drama school graduate with little fame and made countless personal and professional sacrifices to ensure their household and family remained intact while he chased global stardom. The public-facing narrative of mutual support, however, was at odds with the behind-the-scenes fracture now being revealed. Reports suggest Deborah felt increasingly pushed aside during Hugh's Broadway run with Sutton Foster, where their off-stage camaraderie allegedly grew so intense that it left Deborah feeling replaced, emotionally abandoned, and ultimately betrayed, while no infidelity has been confirmed. Insiders note that the emotional gap between Deborah and Hugh widened significantly during this period. Meanwhile, the media frenzy only escalated as Hollywood names like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were dragged into the narrative not as passive observers but alleged players in a tightly controlled PR machine. Jackman's friendship with Reynolds, often played up on social media, came a convenient distraction from the more serious issues plaguing his personal life. At the same time, rumors swirled that Taylor Swift, close friends with Lively, had begun distancing herself from the inner circle due to behind-the-scenes tensions, including a legal incident involving Swift's father and Blake's legal team, who were reportedly tied to an alleged extortion. Swift now spending time with Travis Kelce and enjoying a quieter chapter of her life. reportedly chose to skip major public events like the AMAs to avoid being caught in the unfolding scandal. Sources suggest Swift was deeply frustrated by being dragged into the drama and is making a deliberate effort to retreat from Blake and Ryan's orbit to protect her own peace. Fans of Swift, known as Swifties, are reportedly growing restless with Blake Lively's role in the mess, though many have yet to fully turn against her. Meanwhile, Hugh Jackman has remained relatively silent, focusing on his career and making headlines with the announcement of his return as Wolverine in Deadpool 3. Some insiders believe this move was partially driven by financial necessity, as the impending divorce settlement could take a substantial bite out of his fortune. Despite the desire of both parties to keep the proceedings amicable, the financial and emotional entanglements of a 3-decade marriage with no prenup are hard to untangle without some level of public fallout. And yet, through it all, Deborah Lee Furness has managed to maintain an air of dignity, choosing to channel her pain into spiritual reflection and personal growth. Her statements reflect a woman trying to rebuild herself, not as a victim, but as someone reclaiming her life, voice, and identity after years of being in someone else's shadow. Her focus on boundaries, values, and spiritual integrity suggests she views this divorce not just as an ending, but as a rebirth, albeit one born out of deep emotional wounds. Fans and critics alike are left to interpret the clues: her emphasis on betrayal without directly naming Sutton Foster, her references to integrity and freedom, and the subtle swipes embedded in a carefully crafted statement. What's increasingly clear is that while the Jackmans once embodied a Hollywood fairy tale, their story now reads more like a cautionary tale about the cost of emotional distance, the danger of assuming permanence, and the painful reality that even the most admired relationships can unravel when trust begins to erode. As financial settlements are finalized and public narratives shift, the ripple effect of their separation will likely continue for months, even years to come, touching not just those directly involved, but the broader ecosystem of celebrity alliances, friendships, and media portrayal. In the end, Deborah's journey from Hollywood wife to independent woman navigating life after betrayal resonates with countless people far beyond the glitz of fame. And as for Hugh Jackman, while he may continue to dominate the big screen, the emotional and financial aftermath of his marriage may prove to be the most complex role he's ever had to play in the glittering but ruthless arena of Hollywood, where friendships are often strategic and loyalties shift with the winds of public perception. The unfolding drama around Hugh Jackman's high-profile divorce has set off a chain reaction of emotional tension, celebrity fractures, and behind-the-scenes manipulation that continues to ripple through A-list circles. And at the heart of it all, once beloved stars like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are increasingly being seen not as innocent bystanders, but as calculating players in a PR chess game gone awry. The public image of Lively and Reynolds as the golden couple of Hollywood funny, loving, charismatic, and always on brand has taken a hit as accusations swirl about their role in Hugh Jackman's very public and painful separation from Deborah Lee Furness. What was once viewed as playful camaraderie between Jackman and Reynolds has evolved into whispers of alliance building, image control, and mutual promotion strategies crafted more for optics than authenticity. Lively's decision to file a lawsuit ostensibly in defense of herself and her image may have been the tipping point. Rather than letting backlash die down, she escalated the situation into a legal and media storm that pulled in powerful names like Taylor Swift, whose silence and subtle distancing have been loud enough to raise eyebrows. Long considered a close friend of both Lively and Reynolds, Swift's absence from the AMAs and a string of key public events was not lost on fans, especially as rumors mounted that she was deeply unhappy with Lively, angry, even over how she handled the scandal and especially over the attempt to malign mutual acquaintances. It now appears the once tight trio of Swift, Lively, and Reynolds may be fraying at the seams, with Swift's inner circle making it clear she's over Blake, no longer willing to turn a blind eye to tactics she reportedly views as manipulative and opportunistic. Insiders allege that Lively and Reynolds have built much of their brand by aligning with bigger stars and milking those connections for clout. Strategy many now believe they're deploying again through Jackman and aging. Yet beloved actor who remains box office gold despite his personal woes. Their public support of Jackman, especially amid rumors that his emotional entanglement with Sutton Foster may have been one of the reasons behind his divorce, raises questions about whether they genuinely support him as a friend or if they're leveraging his popularity to shield themselves from fallout and maintain relevance. The legal back and forth only deepens the suspicion. The countersuits, affidavits, and publicly filed letters, including those from lawyers not directly tied to the firms involved, create a tangled web that appears less about justice and more about controlling narrative. Attorney Brian Freeman's response to Blake's camp exposed glaring inconsistencies. From unsigned motions to affidavits backed by questionable sourcing, and directly challenged the integrity of those representing Lively and Reynolds, suggesting they were equally invested in managing optics rather than uncovering truth. Both sides seem to be playing the same game, weaponizing the media and the legal system to shape public opinion, yet Blake and Ryan's camp continue to posture as if they're above the fray. A claim industry insiders find laughable. More disheartening is the perception that Reynolds and Lively might be sacrificing authentic relationships for image gains. Swift's quiet exit from their social orbit speaks volumes. And fans who once adored Lively are now questioning her authenticity, calling her comments about a mutual friend gross and her actions towards Swift deeply disrespectful. Others point to the couple's consistent use of big-name friendships, from cozying up to Swift to capitalizing on their proximity to Jackman, as a pattern that's starting to wear thin. They've been accused of riding these dragons, as one critic put it, to boost their visibility. Whether that means joining Swift and Travis Kelce at NFL games, or using red carpet appearances to reignite waning public interest in their upcoming films. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Deborah-Lee Furness has remained remarkably composed amid the chaos, choosing introspection and spiritual strength over retaliation. Her rare public statement didn't sling mud or name names, but instead focused on the emotional devastation of betrayal, the trauma of lost trust, and her determination to find healing through higher purpose. She described the breakup as a deep wound, yet refused to let it define her, speaking instead about the importance of boundaries, values, and reclaiming a sense of self beyond the shadows of fame. Unlike the performative statements and PR-crafted responses from others involved, Furness's words carried weight precisely because they were raw, reflective, and grounded in reality. Her dignity has become a quiet but powerful rebuke to the circus playing out around her, while Jackman's image is being subtly massaged through renewed appearances and Marvel comeback talk strategically aided by Reynolds. No doubt Furness is demonstrating a kind of resilience rarely seen in celebrity divorces. She has not weaponized her pain, nor has she reduced herself to a footnote in Jackman's legacy. Instead, she's carving out a new identity rooted in personal growth, self-respect, and emotional clarity. It's a stark contrast to the increasingly transparent maneuvers of Lively and Reynolds, who have not only lost Swift's public support but may soon face a broader reputational reckoning if they continue to underestimate the intelligence of their audience. Hollywood may love a good redemption arc, but it's even more fascinated by downfall, especially when it involves beloved figures whose polish begins to crack. Shawn Levy, now thrust into the center as Ryan's close collaborator, has remained silent, but many are curious about what he truly thinks of the growing scandal, especially as he finds himself adjacent to this ever-widening storm. Even secondary figures like Robin Lively are now being scrutinized, seen as enablers in a system where saying yes to celebrity power means turning a blind eye to questionable decisions. From leveraged friendships to thinly veiled PR stunts, the lines between authenticity and performance have become increasingly blurred on. While Jackman, Reynolds, and Lively may continue to move through premieres and talk shows with polished smiles, more and more people are starting to see the puppeteering behind the scenes. It's a story that has evolved far beyond a simple divorce. It's become a portrait of modern celebrity, how friendships are monetized, how drama is manipulated for press cycles, and how real human pain is often the collateral damage in the pursuit of fame management. At the heart of it, Deborah Lee Furness stands as a counterexample, a woman refusing to be a pawn in anyone else's game. Rising above it all, not with vengeance, but with quiet strength. In the era of digital sleuths and media literacy, audiences are no longer so easily fooled by curated selfies and calculated alliances. And as the dust settles, it's clear that while some are playing chess in the public eye, others like Furness are simply walking away from the board altogether, choosing peace